Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Creative Katie Karen Burchill. Welcome to a new series called Technique Tidbits. In this series, I'm going to showcase one wonderful mixed media art journal technique. And I'm going to create in this mini composition book. I will link the video where I prepare this mini composition book for this series. You can go and check it out if you're interested. So the technique that I am going to showcase in this video is stamping into wet acrylic paint. You've seen me stamp with acrylic paint, but this is a little bit different. Now, as part of the preparation stage, I have gessoed my pages, and that's critical for getting good results. You want a non-porous surface. So simply, I am putting on acrylic paint with a brush, and I want to work fairly quickly. I need this paint to stay dry so that I can stamp into it. And I'm grabbing a stamp, any stamp will do, and you can see the marks. It kind of adds texture, it adds some very subtle pattern. So I'm going to go all through this page and I'm mixing quinacridone magenta and bright aqua on the page and then stamping in while the paint is still wet. Now I'm doing this technique as part of breaking the page. You can do this technique at any stage of the art journal mixed media process. So I want you to know you don't just have to do it at the beginning. You can do it on some of the page or all of the page like I'm attempting to do here. Now, what you'll note is when I stamp into the magenta, if I don't clean it off the stamp, that color is going onto the aqua parts when I stamp. I may like that effect, then go with it. If you don't like it, you just need to wipe off the excess paint in between stamps. This page, this book, it measures, I think, 6.5 by 4.5. So it's a fairly small surface. So I can work quickly and get, most of the page with paint and then stamp into the wet paint. If you were doing this on a larger art journal page, you might have to work in sections. But then typically you're not going to be doing the same technique over the entire 9 by 12 art journal page. So here I'm just putting on that wet acrylic paint and then pressing the stamp into it. A finer stamp may not show, but you know what? Give it a try and see which of your stamps work best. You can see how I got some of that magenta on the aqua, but I'm okay with that. This is a initial layer on my art journal page. Look at all that wonderful texture and pattern. So let's finish the page now. And I'm going to keep it fairly simple, but there are some good basic art journal mixed media things that you can learn. Here I am applying black acrylic paint onto some corrugated cardboard that I've ripped off the one layer on. This makes a perfect DIY stamp. And I love, love, love how the kind of marks that this gives. I'm using black here because I want to build that contrast. My two basic colors, the magenta and the aqua, are behind, but now I'm building interest by adding contrast, and that's usually by adding black and or white. And I am drawing in between layers. Now I've got some black paint on that sponge because I was using my makeup sponge to put it onto the cardboard. So I'm just going to use what I have on that sponge and edge my page here. This just frames it. It's a good basic thing that I do every single time. If you like the Technique Tidbit video series, please let me know in the comment section. That way I'll be sure to prioritize these videos and continue this series if there's interest. So I talked about adding contrast to the background with black or white. So I've added black and now I grabbed a stamp and I'm stamping with acrylic paint. So I've stamped into wet acrylic paint and now I'm stamping with acrylic paint. And I'm just adding a lot more interest. This is breaking up that splotchy area when I painted the background and just making everything work together. I'm trying to keep these videos super simple so that everyone can take what I've shown here and use it. I looked in my stash and I have these bees. This was a stamp from a stamp set that I had, and I had them pre-stamped, so they were just the right size for it. I grabbed some sentiment from my Winged Wonders sentiment pack. And here I'm just bubble cutting around it. I didn't like the look of it with the rectangle shape. There was just too much white. And I thought, I'm just going to take off a little bit. I think it had to do with the font. Then, easy peasy, just using my fluid matte medium to glue everything down, focal points and sentiments. This is the first page in my DIY mini composition book turned art journal. I love, love, love the size, the 6.5 by 4.5. It's quick, it's easy, perfect for experimenting with a new technique or trying something new. If you hit the I in the top right hand corner or wait to the end of the video, I will link the video where I show how to make this mini composition book art journal. And then you can follow along and use the techniques and make your own technique journal. I grabbed my Sakura glaze pen. The font, it kind of got a little bit faded or it just didn't print off exactly dark enough and I wanted it darker. So I'm using my Sakura glaze pen to darken it up. The Sakura glaze is shiny and dimensional. And then I'm just going to add a line, a sketchy line, all the way around the outside edge. There'll be close-ups of this page at the end of the video, so stay tuned. And then I'm just splattering with gold. And there we have it. Stamping into wet acrylic paint was the technique that I showcased, and you can see it in some areas more than others, and that's great. I hope you give this a try, and I hope you come back for another technique tidbit.